We're going live. That's right. Today is Saturday, the 16th of May. That's right. 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, we meet up. And we have some fun on lives. Today, we are going to jump right into subtext, getting beneath the truth, because you have to. Let's be honest. But what is subtext, right? And we have some. Before we get into that, though, before we get into the whole class thing, let's get into hellos and what's going on. But we have Flowers here today. What is up, Flowers? Thank you very much, as always, hanging out and playing with us. Angel Faye is in his house. Is that what they say now? Is that what the kids say nowadays? I don't remember.
Let's go.
I feel like it is. I want to say it is. So I'm going to show stuff on the screen. I'm going to give a real example today. I'm going to be playing with subtext. So first I'm going to talk about subtext a little bit, explain subtext, and then I'm going to show you on the screen in real time. We're going to basically take a scene and we're going to start it off where there's pretty much no subtext, and then we're going to build subtext onto it. Hey, Shawnanata. Oop, we got the SB. All right. If you don't know, we do a poll every Saturday and Sunday. This week's poll is, when do you write best? We have 4 choices. We have, when you're slightly uncomfortable, I'm ready to go in. We have, when you're completely alone, please leave me alone. When you're chasing deadlines, I got to get this done. And of course, when you're in love with an idea, feel free to jump on that. We will talk about it at the end of the hour. Oh, look who jumped in. What's up, Afghani? Hello, good sir. Good sir. I was looking at your Afghani. By the way, his links are in the descriptions of all my videos, as are a majority of the authors in this group, because we support, we elevate, and celebrate. Afghani, I was looking at your author page on Amazon. Your page is filling up there. You got a couple bucks. You got a couple bucks. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I'm very proud. I'm very excited for you. All right. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna put something on the screen, and then I'm gonna read. I wrote some stuff. I wanted to be clear with what I'm talking about today. So yeah. So I gotta move the StreamYard over here to one of the other screens. Boom. Let's get into it. Share the screen. By the way, if you have questions, please, for the love of God, you can ask me. You could talk to me. I'm here. I want to say hi. All right, there we go. Boop. Okay. All right. If you have questions about what we're talking about today, what I bring up, feel free to jump in and ask those questions. More importantly, remember, you could ask me questions about your writing in general, but ultimately, let's get into it. I wasn't sure what to put in the author page. That's all right, man. I'm liking the author page. I think what I put is a bit cringe. Hey, if you're not happy, you gotta change it. But if you're happy, let's just see where it goes. All right. So what is it? Subtext in novels versus screenplays. Okay. The big difference. Oh, before we get into the biddles and diddles. Today is all. Oh, we already did that. Subtext. Okay. So all right. Let's talk about it. Oh, remember to like and subscribe. As you know, if we're looking at the surface level aspect of 2 mediums over the reality of it all, then one might believe that there is a difference in subtext for either a novel or a screenplay. Why are we bringing this up on a book channel? Well, because I want you to understand that subtext isn't always just what isn't said, or even more importantly, what is said. And screenplays, or film and television, give us a real good opportunity to see the physicality, the visual play, because it's more than what's not said on the screen. When you watch a film or even a movie or a TV show, something that's very important to pay attention to is, what are the characters doing? What is the character's behavior? Okay, what are they choosing to do or not do? But more importantly, believe it or not, the atmosphere and the feel of the scene in motion is going to dictate subtext, whether subconsciously or consciously. Why am I telling you this? Well, as you know, I started in screenwriting, and some of the stuff that I took over from screenwriting, if not all of it, I have brought it over into the novel world, and it helps me whenever I get stuck in a scene. because words sometimes are difficult to see the scene. Even if you're like me, I know there are a lot of people out there that see stuff play out in their heads and they're like, how do I get this onto the page? The thing about film and television is that it allows us to see it in real time. Whereas if you're reading, sometimes the subtext is too invisible and it's hard to play out. I cringe right in mine. Oh, oh, flowers. We all do, Afghani. I just put a few phrases about me, and I'm working. I just wrote that I'm a weird looking. As for the poll, it's 3 of the above for me. Hey, look, I love it. I love it. I like that you got 3 of them in there. All right. So more importantly, screenplays are showing you what is subtext through the behaviors, exactly, etc., etc. Novels, they have an internal monologue which becomes a peek into the characters. So that is an advantage with novels, is you could go directly into how a character is feeling. I'm going to show you that you don't necessarily have to verbatim explain the feeling, but you could use internal to show the movement of that potential subtext. Whereas with film, very rarely, unless of course it's noir and you have somebody talking over themselves, you're going to see the internal on the screen, or more importantly, hear it. However, in a novel, the real truth and power of subtext, and I know this is a very common thing to say, but show don't tell, right? You want to show subtext through behavior. What are they fiddling with? What are they hesitating with? What are they excited about? Where did they choose to stand? Where are they choosing to stand in a room? When they get in a car, do they go in the back seat or the front seat? When they're choosing to make dinner, what kind of dinner are they making? Are they making a dinner somebody likes or doesn't like? These small behaviors are as important as the words you choose to use or don't use. So when writing a novel or a screenplay, the subtext is there at all levels and layers of the game. So sure, the format is different from a screenplay from a novel, but your job is to think about all the tools available to you when it comes to subtext. Subtext. Vague but informative. Now, this isn't subtext. Just remember, whenever you hear me talk about vague but informative, that doesn't mean to negate information. Subtext isn't necessarily withholding the truth. It's just subverting that truth through behavior or avoiding the topic completely. Because in reality, if a reader can't figure it out, it's not clear subtext. Vague but informative as a method, and the other reason I'm bringing this up is because I believe this was the original ask that led to this video. If you don't know, this was a request video. I'm making this video as a request from a viewer. That means if you have ideas you want me to talk about, let me know in the comments below, or even just the live section. But more importantly, this was an original ask in the sense of being vague but informative is that subtext. So let me explain that vague but informative first. So being vague but informative means to give the reader enough information to understand what's happening, but not enough to take away questions, okay? So the rule of vague but informative is you're trying to create engagement and having the reader want to continue turning the page or reading down the page to learn more. And sometimes what happens is writers will give you all the information thinking, well, the more you know, the more you'll understand. But it actually works the opposite, because if you dump down info dump, it overwhelms and you don't remember it. But if you break it up and you allow it to unfold across the page, even if you start off a sentence with, I don't know if I can go through with it, and then you have a character says, I think you'll be able to get through with it. You just have to do it one day at a time. Yeah, but do you think my father will respect me in the morning, or my mother will respect me in the morning? Well, it's not about them respecting you. It's about you respecting you. And if you're overwhelmed and this isn't the thing you want to do, then don't do it. The reader is learning a little bit there. There's something going on. They're afraid to do it. There's a friend pushing them to do what they have to do. It turns out there's a subtext to their motivations, which is their fear is actually driven by the respect or the response of their parents. But ultimately, at the end of the day, that scene can keep playing out until we eventually learn by the end of the scene or the resolution that maybe the kid is just trying to think about leaving college, right? But if you open that scene up with, I don't know if I could keep doing this. I don't want to do college anymore. Yeah, sure, my parents might not like me, but I think I have to just move on and not do college. You take away the story, you take away the experience that unfolds on the page. So vague but informative helps fix info dumps. It helps fix over informing your reader. It is not the same as subtext, okay? But basically, when it comes to the emotional truth under all the subtext, you'll want to have clear facts and hidden motivations. The reader should always know what is happening physically, even if they're still guessing what isn't happening emotionally. What does that mean? It ultimately means that you have to inform the reader enough to be following the emotional truth of the scene. So don't be too vague. We don't know what's going on. But also, when it comes to subtext, don't be too vague with what you're hiding from the reader, because then it'll just be confusing. Hey, what's up, M? How's it going, buddy? Woo, 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 woo. So, but I will say this, the truth is vague alone leaves a reader wondering what's going on with no crumbs to follow, whereas subtext is still quite relevant on the page. Subtext is quite relevant on the page, even if it's in the coded text of what's happening on the page. So whether you're hiding the subtext in action, behavior, or dialogue internal, you still must maintain a clarity on the page. Subtext is still clear on the page. You're not trying to build to subtext. Subtext is just present. So my advice to any author is to remember the fundamental rule. If a reader can't figure it out, even with a little work, it's not clear enough. And just because you can figure it out because you're the reader doesn't mean it makes sense. Why? Because you have the deep bias relationship with it. By the way, Present, what's up, bro? Always good to see you, my friend. Always good to see you. All right, now we're going to get to what's known as on the nose. All right, on the nose helps. Oh, wait. Beep, 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 beep. Okay. On the nose helps. Why? We're going to be using this in the example when we get to the bottom. We are going to start with on the nose, because remember, a zero draft or first draft should be straightforward. Don't worry about pretty writing. Don't try to be smart and crazy and like, oh, I'm doing magical, mystical stuff. You want to be straight on the page. And the reason you do that is because it gives you more options for fluidity when you're working on your second, third, and fourth drafts, because you know what is happening without thinking. And if you can do that, then you can start playing with it. But there's nothing wrong with writing out your first or your zero or first drafts using on the nose writing. In fact, for those trying to better themselves at subtext, or even vague but informative, it's not about writing subtext first. And even going back to vague and informative, in your zero and first drafts, if you info dump, just do it. Just get it out. All right. But your job is to look at your second draft and say, can I spread this out and create a vague but informative movement? And is this an opportunity for me to add subtext so I can slow down the reveal, but also allow the reader to feel like they are experiencing the emotional truth of the scene? So that's important to think about. But yes, remember, you do not have to write pretty at first. The method of writing is always about what needs to be on the page for me as the author. Remember, writing pretty is where you're getting closer and closer to polish. That's a later thing. Right now, your job is clarity, 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 but it's also about being concise. It's about getting to the point. You can build and expand on that stuff in later drafts, but you as the author must know what is going on. You shouldn't have to read a 4,000 word chapter multiple times to be like, what exactly is going on? Because there's a difference between reading the pretty writing and then seeing and feeling exactly what is happening. I have been vague but informative, but reckon I've dumped along the way. Sometimes you got to take a dump. All right, mainly on the lawn. Hey-o! I have a short story where I named the character Bill Zebob, which is a hint at Beelzebub, but no one picked up on. Well, now we have it. Now we have it. Well, that is less subtext and more foreshadowing, my friend. I like the wordplay. I'm a big fan of wordplay. By the way, if you're not making a joke on here, Flowers, if you're actually asking a question but also adding the joke, or rather just mentioning that you are, I love it that you're doing vague but informative. But sometimes it's okay to dump it out until you get to the polished draft. Remember, you always should be working on getting it tighter and cleaner, but also playing with the experience or the presentation of the read. But I do want to say this, when it comes to on the nose, while you're working on scenes and writing it what we call straightforward, without trying to hide anything for yourself, you're the writer. You need, again, to understand what's going on. So this is a great place to start, on the nose. Then you go back and you start playing with things, okay? So such as the dialogue and internal thoughts, the behavior, the environment, tasks, what people are doing or not doing. All right. I've made sure they are small dumps. Good. Very good. All right. But also descriptors, tones, and atmosphere are important. These are areas that you can go back to on your second, third, or fourth draft and think about, hey, how would adding subtext to this, or lightening the load, no pun intended, lightening the load by saying, all right, this scene might work better if I allow the characters to move around what they care about and feel about. So what can I touch on? Because if the character is feeling isolated, place them on a subway alone, right? Put them in a room alone. Let's say they had a horrible night and got arrested, and now they're in a jail cell, the holding cell, but they're alone, right? These things, and they've never got arrested. This is the first time, okay? If they're feeling happy, okay, and the world is ahead of them, have them walk in open parks or sunny days. Now, obviously, that's cliche, both of these examples, but use that as a starting point. Think, how do I represent the world around them, and use that to tell the audience something? That's why in speaking of film and television, even just novels in general, the mention of water is the representation of life or death. Usually it represents death. So every time I'm watching a drama and there's a river or an ocean like in the background, or it's raining, something is going to happen. In fact, what is the cliche funeral that you always see in a film? They have the black umbrellas. Why? Because it's raining. Okay? So sometimes, it happens. Cliches happen. They're everywhere. But start there and then build on it. Say, what can I change about this to play with environment? But if you're going more behavior, which is definitely something I enjoy more about subtext or just character in general, not having eye contact when upset or hiding something is technically subtext. If the dialogue is saying an honest truth, right, people are avoiding the reality. So a difference between truth and reality, right? The truth is, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, but that the hidden honesty beneath it, not necessarily, right? So let's say we were writing a scene about somebody upset that they just got broken up with, and them saying, well, we broke up Thursday. Well, we broke up Thursday is the truth, but is the honest reality beneath that? How do they feel about it? We broke up Thursday. It's all good. It could be all good, but the way they're behaving, they haven't left the house in a week. They haven't changed their clothes. These things become the truth or the reality underneath it all. I got an Afghani, but my mom called me a little antichrist when I was a nipper. Nipper. I'm assuming the slang is because you're nipping at the ankles. You're a baby. Hi, last 2 nights I looked up book tropes as well as Christian book tropes and wrote them down. That way I could figure out my 2 story tropes. I love it. Keep it going, my friend. Keep it going. Hannah. All right, let's keep it going. Point is, start with on the nose and move it around. All right, by the way, you can fail with subtext. Yes, you can. In fact, we can also do this. All right. Can subtext fail? Yeah, sometimes it's out of place. Sometimes subtext is not necessary. It's always fun to have on the page, but it isn't necessarily necessary. Necessarily necessary. The neighbor's lawn, Thomas. All right, so can subtext fail? Yes, yes it can. There is a place for it and a place to absolutely avoid it. The quick rule is if you have to get to the point fast, right? If you have to get the point out fast, don't use subtext. Just be straightforward. You don't want to put subtext in a moment where they're like, get out of the house, it's on fire. And be like, oh, maybe I'll add some subtext. You know, if I were you, I know there's safer places to be, but I don't really know how to tell you this. But ultimately, oh, it's getting hot in here, isn't it? No, just get to the point. Not everything needs subtext. High stakes moments, emergencies, fast movement, etc. You don't need to worry about subtext. Yes, it would be fun, sure. But at the end of the day, is it necessary? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? All right, but so stay away from high stakes moments, emergencies, fast movement. They should all be told in the moment. Allow the reality to be on the page. In other words, fast pace is meant to keep it going. No slowing it down to make sense of stuff. In fact, a lot of subtext could be present in fast pace, but it really, really depends on what you're doing when it comes to the emotional truth of the scene. So again, can you have a fast read with a slow pace? Yes. But what I'm talking about is fast pace. Pace itself is the speed at which information is presented to the reader. So sometimes context, not subtext, needs to be present clearly and quickly on the page. When I think subtext, I think the scene from Inglorious Bastards where he asks for 3 glasses of whiskey. Oh, interesting. I would say the subtext is the person noticing it and not necessarily the person doing. I think he does, because Germans do it this way and he did it this way. The subtext is in the behavior, the physical behavior of the German officers change in the presence. Their presence changes. So they're like, could we get 3? Whatever. And instantly the general's like, The subtext is that they know something and the other people don't. It also creates dramatic irony. But yeah. Is it true, anyway, that you do 3 with your fingers a certain way in Germany? Oh, that is... Yeah, is it true? Do you do this? Or is it this? I know in sign language it's 1, 2, 3... Oh, no, it's 1, 2, 3... 1, 2, 3... Oh, 5... And then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10... Something like that. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's sign language. All right. Let's get back to it. I will say this, though. Again, you could use subtext in a fast motion in a moment that's like speeding through. I don't recommend it all the time. It's good for flavor. However, subtext does work best and in many ways a lot better when moments can breathe, okay? Why? Well, because you're giving the readers a chance to at least catch what's happening and sit in the emotional truth. Or they'll basically just miss it because everything's just flying by, right? So the point of subtext isn't to be sneaky with your reader. Vague but informative can be sneaky. Vague but informative could be like, all right, let's just take this and play with the information and see how vague we could get while maintaining clarity. But subtext needs to be clear. Again, if the reader doesn't understand what's happening or the truth of the emotion, you'll miss an opportunity to have subtext, right? Subtext, by its very nature, is there to add to the emotional narrative movement of it all, which means that the reader needs to understand what's going on. Otherwise, what's the deal? All right, we're going to do a real-time example. Do a real-time example. Oh, I have a question for when the lesson is done for today. All right, bro. Yeah, please, please. All right. So the first thing is I'm going to take this as an idea to play with an example. A daughter visits her father after a 6-month silence following a fight about her job. He's had a minor health scare. Neither wants to apologize. First, ish. Something like that. All right. Let's see. We kind of want to... All right, so what I'm going to do... Let's bring this down because we want a full clear page. We want a full clear page. All right. Can I do this? Because I want to make it smaller for everybody, so... I think that's good. All right. Just let me know if you could still see the words. Can you see these words clearly? Can you see them now? All right. Just let me know you can see those words clearly on the screen. Unless you're on your phone, then good luck. Good luck there, Bowser. All right. Also, I like this thing. All right. Yes, you're on the TV. I can. Fantastic. All right. Let's do it. Let's get into it. All right. On the phone. Oh, good. If it's clear on the phone, that makes me happy. All right. Let's start it off. All right. Do we have a name for the girl? We'll just call her Sarah. Sarah. We're going to start off straightforward. Remember, we're going to do on the nose. We're going to start on the nose. Sarah not. Oh, on her father's. Fathers? Is it father? Father? I'm thinking crazy. Oh, let's do her. She. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use the dreaded was. I'm gonna make it passive, and then I'm gonna fix it from there. So it took me about 10 minutes, but I figured it out. All right, we're gonna use the dreaded was. I'm not a fan of was, only because it's passive. But we're gonna start off with just getting it out. We're gonna get it out and see where it happens. What is the specific emotion? You know what? She's nervous because, right? They had a fight. They've been silent for about 6 months about her job. He's also, so she's nervous because she wants to show, in my mind, she wants to show that she cares because the father had the health, so she's nervous. Right? And then, you know what? For the reader's sake, let's just get it right on the page for now, right? So, she was nervous because, let's just put it out there. What was it? They hadn't, is it spoken? Yeah, spoken in 6 months. This is even ever since his, all right, criticized her job. Let's just be straightforward with that. We're just going to be as straightforward as possible, okay? So now let's get him in the picture as quick as possible. By the way, this is also how you create concise movement in a zero draft or first draft. Just get to the points. Just put it on the page. One of the things that I'm learning in the library class and other classes, and sometimes when I work with clients, is they don't always get to the point. They'll meander and they'll just talk about things or go deeper into a moment. And when you're writing your zero and first draft, don't worry about making it pretty and the environment. Focus on what narratively needs to be on the page. So in this case, he opened the door. He opened the door and looked surprised. All right. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm saying that Sarah is coming to visit him. I'm trying to get her into the bit. I'm just gonna be straightforward with her. You know, I came because I wanted I wanted to make up. Oh no, I want. Is it I wanted? I want to make. I want to be. I want to make up. Yeah. And then we'll get right to the point that he's like, you know what? I'm sorry. I was out of line. I was out of line criticizing your job. Okay. Now, just as an experiment, this creates a beat, but I might change this. He said, I was wrong. Now, the reason I'm going to change that is because everything here is just literally on the nose. Remember, we're just writing exactly what we want on the page because they hadn't spoken in a while. All right, we're just getting right to the point. Should I make this a different font? Is that better? I think that's better. No, I think the other one's better. All right. I'm sorry I was out of line criticizing your job. He said, I was wrong, you know? And then she's like, you know what? I forgive you. I forgive you. I love you, Dad. Dad. Straight to the point. I love you too. I've missed you. Right? I'm glad. Right? I'm glad we can move past this. Right? But no one talks like this. That's the thing you have to remember, right? This is what automatically makes it feel fake, is that we're just having to say exactly what it is they feel. And then you have the resolve. They hugged. Sarah, because it's in her perspective, felt, that's a filter word, happy that they had reconciled. Reconcile. Okay. All right. So right off the bat, some of the things that we should be pointing out and noticing is it is absolutely on the nose. It is a zero draft as well. We are telling how a character feels. We are getting information in as exposition and not character exposition. Remember, character exposition unfolds through the emotional experiences and choices of a character. It's what they say and don't say, what they do and don't do. Okay. Also, a note for writing in general. Every time you have a sentence, look at it as an opportunity to say, is the character experiencing something or making a choice? Now, in this case, Sarah knocked on her father's door. There is no experience or choice. All right? The reason I'm getting into that is because I'm already seeing what I want to do with that line. I'm going to have her hesitate before she knocks on the door, right? But as of now, there is no experience or choice. She was nervous because they hadn't spoken in 6 months ever since. Technically, she was nervous is experience. But the reason I would push back on that is because it's not her experience. This is the reader being told what she feels. Now, if you don't remember, I did a video. Was takes away experience. Was removes the story from the narrative. We are not experiencing the emotional choices and experience of the characters. So I would argue that this is also missing experience and choices. Okay. He opened the door and looked surprised. This also removes everything else. So let's get into it. Let's bring this downstairs. All right. We'll call this before. And we're going to go. After. All right. Looks like I'm done. All right. So I'm going to leave this below us. All right. Sarah knocked on her father's door. She was nervous because they hadn't spoken in 6 months. All right. I want to indicate that she is visiting. She's showing up there, so that would create the surprise. So Sarah stood in the hallway. Sarah stood in the hallway. Oh, staring. Oh, wait a minute. That's better. That's more visual. Sarah stood in the hallway, staring at Nick. Staring at. Cracks all over the door. A door. Is it beige? 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 How do you spell beige? Beige. Oh, there we go. And do a lighter beige. Beige fade. All right. Okay. Wraps? All right, 3 light wraps. The one word or two. Door handle. Oh, it's 2. It's 2. It's 2. All right. Okay, so let's talk about it as we go through it. That's Pharaoh. I also have autism, and I do talk like that as well. I do. That is not a joke. I'm very articulate when I speak to other people, when I'm expressing my feelings. However, in writing, natural dialogue, whether it's in screenwriting or not, is not meant to be straightforward. So I will tell you what a producer said to me once. They said, I understand that in a conversation people have asides. I understand that people say all the time. I understand that people will not talk about what needs to be done. But in narrative, whether it's a novel or a screenplay, every word is costing you money or your word budget. So your job as a writer, this is to everybody, not just, I'm not talking to just Ro. Your job, the producer was talking to me, your job is to get to the point. So in dialogue, and also make it feel human, make it feel interesting. So the way we do that is we take away the direct words and we play with subtext. Anyway, all right. What if you have her almost knock, but pull her hand back, then knock? Is that subtextual? Yeah, that would also be subtextual. I'm actually, one second. Yes, and then there is a bathroom on the Enterprise. There is a bathroom on the Enterprise. What I'm doing here is I'm showing the hesitation already. I don't need her to put her hand up and then take her hand down. This is my hesitation. If I want to do that, I could, her hand raised. All right, raised. Close to the wood. All right, or close to the door. Close to the door. Dropping it. So now I'm adding more to the hesitation. Again, you want to be straight. I want to get to the point right now, but Sarah stood in the hallway, staring at tiny nicks and cracks all over the... I should say all over the door. The door. All right. I want to keep it a little bit more vague. All right, cracks all over the door. The brown had peeled away into a lighter beige fade. All right. You know, this would be a new movement. Her hand raised closer, closer. And let's see, her hand raised closer. You know. I don't need that. All right. What the? Unable to knock. Dropping it, she closed her eyes. All right. 3 light wraps, the same pattern she used as a child, no higher than the door handle. All right, so now we're getting into it. All right, ready? Let's see. We don't need this. Now we're gonna get to the father opening the door. All right. All right. Wearing the same flannel he'd worn. Ooh, Thanksgiving. All right, and then yeah, or not even not okay. Let's make a new movement. All right. Get rid of not as a second glance. He looked behind her, as if searching for someone else. As if searching for someone else. Can we just say this? Her father walked past her, heading down the hall. You eat. Actually, what I would like to do, let's keep it in her POV. So we're actually going to do this. Father said, walking past her, heading down the hall. All right, now we got some movement there. All right, so he opened the door. He was surprised. He looked behind her. All right, so let's read it a little bit now. Sarah stood in the hallway staring at tiny nicks and cracks all over the door. The brown had peeled away into a lighter beige fade. Her hand raised closer, unable to connect, unable to knock. Yeah, okay. Unable to knock. Dropping it, she closed her eyes. 3 light wraps, the same pattern she used. Okay. I think we have to get to this beat right there. Dropping it, she closed her eyes. Is it raised? I think it would be raised, yeah. All right. Oh, now we could do the new, yeah, 3 like times. Okay. All right. And then no higher than the door handle. A crack of light raised over, oop, we could get rid of this. A crack of light over her as the door opened. Her father standing in silence. His face said enough. Oh, he said nothing. Standing there wearing the same flannel he wore at Thanksgiving. All right. He looked behind her. Yeah, he looked behind her as if searching for someone else. Past her. Past her, you eat. I like it the other way. There. You eat, her father said, walking past. Okay, great. Great. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. All right, fantastic, people. All right, let's see. Let's make an Italian family. There's pasta. There's pasta. There's pasta. All right. There's a reason I want to make it so he's made too much. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. Okay, I'm trying to add another layer to it. Okay. All right. I guess she followed. She followed. How do you this is a dish? Dish soap. Dish soap. That opened or opened. Stay. All right, so a couple things here. Oh, I got YouTube over here, and I got this over here. All right, so he looked behind her as if searching for someone else. You eat, her father said, walking past her and heading down the hall. No, this pasta from last night. I made too much. She followed him to the kitchen. The apartment smelled like dish soap her mother used to buy. On the counter, a pill organizer sat open to Wednesday. It was Friday. So this is her processing what's going on, but we are adding the subtext of what? There's something going on here, right? There's a potential that there is something else going on that I did not mention in this. But we do know that they've had a fight, 6 months of silence after a fight about her job. He also had a minor health scare. This is where the vague but informative comes in. We are now bringing in the pill thing, right? So they didn't have a conversation right at first. They just passed over. She's not like, hey, I heard you had a health scare. They looked at each other because there was silence for 6 months, okay? And then you eat? Excellent. No. This pasta from last night, I made too much. And then she files it and she's seeing the pills and etc., etc., etc. And then we'll have the father be a father. Ooh, you know what? Maybe I'll have her heat it up. Okay. What is it? I'll heat it up? I'll heat it up. Now let's get a little, I'll heat some up. And we have to make sure it's clear that she's talking. She said, right? So now we do need that. Let's say, ready. What is it? Cabinet. Bowls. The bowls. All right. We're still there. Is that making sense? Oh. All right. Yeah, okay. All right. Father sat at the table because that's what he's gonna do. Um. Actually, we don't know that he's making room for them both because we're in her mind, so we have to take that out. Her father sat at the table, moving newspapers off to the side, clearing two areas. That's fine. We could do that because that is what Sarah would be noticing. All right, let's keep it going. Now we're going to get into the medical stuff. So, doctors, or doctor says I should. All right, now I'm going to try to connect them. I'm going to try to bring them together a little bit, okay? Okay. All right, and then we can get. Let's add a little bit to the world. A little bit. There's a park. There's a park near here. All right, and then let's see. Not in placing in bowl. Is a bowl, or could I just say Tupperware? If I could. Placing a bowl in the microwave. All right. Hmm. Buttons beeped. Hey, mate. Hmm. And hitting go. Oh, wait. Maybe I want to get her talking a little bit. Yeah. All right. So this is a new movement. So again, this is a movement because she's doing something physical with the ball. Sarah nodded, placing a ball in the microwave. The buttons beeped, tapping out. Oh, I should say as she tapped out. Tapped out 2 minutes and hit go. Hit go. All right. And now I make this a new movement, even though it's dialogue for her. The reason is because that finishes. She did a thing. And then I wanted to say something. I wanted to reference the park. So this becomes a new movement because it changes her direction. So now I have to say she said. The reason is because we wouldn't know. Because based on logical movement, this is him speaking for sure, right? Because her father sat at the table, moving newspapers off to the side, clearing two areas. Doctor says I should be walking more. Hey, Thomas, why don't you have he said there? Because doctor says I should be walking more. And then we clarify that with, okay, she took two bowls down. There's a park near here. We know that's him talking, but then she has a physical behavior, and then there's dialogue again. So I could come Saturdays could reference her, but to have perfect clarity, we add she says, and that just makes it okay. He didn't answer. He didn't answer. Oh, okay, okay. He didn't answer. I don't want to say was. He didn't answer. Shifting himself closer to the table, clasping his hands. Oh, no, I gotta say and clasping his hands together. Right? And then it goes, the pastas. Pasta. What we got here? Who died? I just started hailing her in Spionka Yonky Yonky. We're supposed to have scattered thumbs. Ooh! Well, we're hoping that you're going to be okay, my friend. All right. Oh, I guess it's the pasta is, so the pastas. Right? Pasta's better with the Parmesan. Parmesan. All right, and then we could just say, yeah, she searched out for the Parmesan in the fridge. All right, ready. All right, let's call it a. We'll stop. I can erase this now. All right, so let's just let's read the original first. All right. And then we'll talk about it. I'll talk about the adjustments. Sarah knocked on her father. Wow, it's already now. Sarah knocked on her father's door. She was nervous because they hadn't spoken in 6 months, ever since he criticized their job. He opened the door and looked surprised to see her. I heard you had a scare, she said. I was scared. I came because I wanted to make up. I'm sorry, I was out of line criticizing your job. I should spell that correctly. All right. Criticizing your job, he said. I was wrong. I forgive you. I love you, Dad. I love you too. I've missed you. I'm glad we can move past this. They hugged. Sarah felt happy that they had reconciled. Now, the problem with this is it's definitely an opportunity for subtext because whether you talk directly like this or not, it is too formal. And the way we hear the formality, right? You speak in this way and you'll hear if it's good or not. I heard you had a scare. I was scared. I came because I want to make up. I'm sorry. I was out of line criticizing your job. I was wrong. I forgive you. Right? So if you do that, it's definitely the Hallmark version. Right? But if you do something like Shakespeare, two households alike in dignity, and fair Verona, where we lay our scene, from ancient grudge to new mutiny, right? It still has a flow to it. I'm not doing it in dynamic parameter, but strong dialogue feels good even if we don't add the emotion behind it. This is just informative. That's what makes it bad. It is just saying what needs to be said, and it's also getting through the conflict without real conflict. It's, hey, Dad, it's been a while. I heard you had a scared. I did. I'm so sorry I criticized you. I forgive you. Like nothing is happening. This is an example of something is happening. They are doing things, but nothing is happening. All right, so let's get into it. One of the things I definitely want to point out is this lacked experience and or choice. So let's go down. Sarah stood in the hallway staring at tiny nicks and cracks all over the door. The brown had peeled away into a lighter beige fade. Her hand raised closer, unable to knock, unable to connect, unable to knock. Dropping it, she closed her eyes only to find the strength to lift her arm again. Once more? I think that'd be better. All right. And again. Okay. 3 light wraps, the same pattern she used as a child, no higher than the door handle. All right, a crack of light poured over her as the door opened, her father standing in silence. His face said enough, though he said nothing, standing there, wearing the same flannel he'd worn at Thanksgiving. He looked behind her as if searching for someone else. You eat? Her father said, walking past her and heading down the hall. No. There's pasta from last night. I made too much. She followed him to the kitchen. The apartment smelled like dish soap her mother used to buy. On the counter, a pill organizer sat open till Wednesday. It was Friday. I'll heat up something, she said, already moving toward the cabinet where the bowls used to be. They were still there. He hadn't yet moved them. Her father sat down at the table, moving newspapers off to the side, clearing 2 areas. Doctor said I should be walking more. Okay. She took 2 bowls down. There's a park near here with a path. You like paths? Sarah nodded, placing a bowl in the microwave. The 2 buttons beeped as she tapped out 2 minutes and hit go. I could come Saturdays, she said. He didn't answer, shifting himself closer to the table and clasping his hands together. The pasta's better with the Parmesan. She searched out for Parmesan in the fridge, ready for a new one after this. All right, so a couple of things. Yes, in an ideal world, they would be like, I am sorry. All right. So I gave her experience and choice. All right. We are experiencing her hesitation, right? She is paying attention to things that don't necessarily matter, but there is already subtext here. The brown had peeled away into a lighter beige fade. All right, we are already creating mood and atmosphere, and it is representing the disconnect, or, you know, we're not who we used to be, right? It's not the deep brown door anymore, okay? And then this nice little beat that Sean suggested, her hand raised closer, unable to knock, unable to connect, unable to knock. I'm actually going to take this away and put it here because it's reading better that way. All right, her hand raised closer, unable to knock. That's experience. Dropping it, she closed her eyes, only to find the strength to lift her arm again. This is experience and choice. So dropping it, she closed her eyes, experience, and then she's making a choice, only to find the strength to lift her arm again. 3 light wraps. That is both experience and choice. We are seeing the hesitation. The hesitation is still there. That's subtext. The same pattern she used as a child, no higher than the door. We're actually talking about subtext here too, okay? Not only is she experiencing this same door she's experienced before, but she's older now. But she feels like a child right now. She's going to her father. There's a reason for that, okay? I'll get to that. All right. A crack of light poured over it as the door opened. That's technically experience. Her father standing in silence. There's subtext there. Also experience. His face said enough, though he said nothing. That's experience and choice. Standing there wearing the same flannel he'd worn at Thanksgiving. These are things that characters are noticing, and it builds on subtext. And yet, there has been no dialogue yet, and that's good. He looked behind her as if searching for someone else. Subtext to something else. We'll be talking about that. You eat, her father said, walking past her and heading down the hall. Now, you eat, okay, is a sign of parental care or a giving. The subtext is giving, but also we need food to survive. We need substance, right? Sustenance. And this is an example of he sees her, he looks behind her, of course, but his real first instinct, his choice, is to make sure she's eaten, right? And then she says no. So what's his response? This pasta from last night, I made too much. Now, I'll just say it right now. The reason is because in my mind, I made the choice that he is dealing with the loss of his wife. This led him to a heart attack, and he has yet to fix the house or really kind of learn how to function properly, okay? But he made too much because he's used to making more because there's usually 2 people. But more importantly, there's pasta from last night. I made too much, etc., etc. He is, without saying I'm sorry, he's going, look, I want to give to you. Food is important, right? So it's a nice little subtext of them healing a relationship through movement. But He goes and sits down, and she actually prepares the food. So she's accepting the food part to make it, but she gets two bowls out because she wants to break bread with him. She wants to share the moment. So she followed him to the kitchen. The apartment smelled like dish soap her mother used to buy. That's more subtext to the loss of her mother. On the counter, a pill organizer sat open to Wednesday. It was Friday. This is vague but informative, but also subtext towards he had a heart issue, which we're going to be building on by the end of the scene. I'll heat some up, she said, already moving toward the cabinet where the bowls used to be. Luckily, they were still there. He hadn't moved them yet. So he hasn't reorganized the place to his liking. He's leaving it as it was when he was married. All right. Her father sat at the table, moving newspapers off to the side, clearing two areas. He's just throwing the mail on the tables, right? Doctor said I should be walking more. This has to do with health. We don't have to know right now that it's a heart issue. We can learn about that by the end of this chapter or another chapter or whatever the case is. But true subtext and vague but informative works in multiple different ways, and they can parlay off of each other. We're ultimately building something. And by the way, let me see. Look at this. Where is this? Well, this is only 288 words. That's not even a full page. And we're already learning a lot. We know that her name is Sarah. We know that this is her father. We know that he's dealing with something. We know that he's dealing with something that has to do with health. We know that their relationship is strained in some way. We understand that. Okay? That's the thing about writing. You want to get to the points, but that doesn't mean you can't play with moments, but you can play in moments through their experiences and choices, and it gives the scene more movement. All right. But anyway, doctor says I should be walking more. Okay, she took two bowls down. There's a park near here with a path. You like paths. This is an olive branch. This is him basically saying the doctor says I should be walking more, and I would like you to come walking with me so we can spend more time together. But he's not directly saying that. He's just saying there's a park near here with a path, which means I could walk there. You like paths, not will you walk with me? That's subtext, okay? Nodding, she placed the bowl placed it in the microwave. The buttons beeped as she tapped out 2 minutes and hit go. All right. And hit go. I could come Saturdays, she said. Now, I hit go is subtext because it's leading to her ready to make a step forward. I could come Saturdays. He didn't answer, shifting himself closer to the table and clasping his hands together. The pasta's better with Parmesan. He's not saying, he's saying, look, pasta's good with Parmesan. I want you to enjoy, you know? Anyways, he searched out for the Parmesan in the fridge, ready for a new one after this. This is also subtext, but it's connected to the Parmesan. Hey, ciao, Bella. What's up, Emma? The after has highlighted that I am a tight-fisted when it comes to spending words. Why is that? Why is that? Why is that, Em? Are you saying, what are you saying, buddy? What are you saying? I was very honest in the poll. What did you choose? What did you choose? Afternoon. Hey, what's up, Melos? What's up? What's up? We're doing good with the poll. We got 16 votes. I'm liking it. We're going to go over the poll in a moment. Hey, same here. I work best alone. I work best alone. Anyway. All right. So there we go. Hello, hello, hello. Does anyone have any questions about what I was talking about with this and how I was showing the example? Is there anything you want me to make a little clearer? Is there something you want me to go over? Is there a piece in here that doesn't feel like subtext? The whole piece, by the way, is supposed to be a fluid movement of subtext. Because nobody really says sorry, I love you, I miss you when they're trying to reconcile. There's a little bit more push and pull. Um, but they do. There's like a negotiation to reconciling. There's a negotiation, and the pasta, and the hey, I have to walk. There's a path, and you know what? Saturdays. That is the negotiation, right? But also her standing in the hallway and hesitating, right? This is behavior, all right? He looks past her, right? He watches her, right? Every action is holding something and carrying something. The environment, the pills, right? The pills are ultimately, this is the thing. The pills, all right, are, he hasn't really been focusing, right? He's slipping. He's alone, okay? The unchanged cabinets, he hasn't moved on, from his wife. There's that dish smell, right? Okay? He's living in grief, so much so that it messed up his heart. All right? Then we kind of play with the heating of the pasta, right? And finding the Parmesan. Yeah, it feels quote unquote mundane, but they're feeding each other. They're giving each other something, sustenance. All right. And of course, I'm going back between short sentences and long sentences. I'm adding pauses so characters could be in moments. Because even though Sarah doesn't know what her father is thinking, when he's silent, there's something going on in him. There's a behavior of thought and emotion, right? So that's important to remember. All right. But at the end of the day, physicality says a lot. And you should be thinking about physicality. Just her arriving is important, but her heating up the food, him inviting her back, we should go walking without saying it. These are things that you should be thinking about as a writer when it comes to, well, now I can move this back over here. All right, I hope that helped. What do we got here? Hello. I said I work best with a deadline. Oh, yes. Deadlines. Deadlines are helpful. I work best with Thomas in the background, really. That's right. My voice helps keep people focused. Shawnatron. Hey, past her and pasta. Past and pasta, right? Past. Walking past her. There's pasta. That's right? Pasta. I got that right. Pasta does heal. As an Italian, as a Sicilian, I can tell you that is true. I prefer silence, but I put on some ambient music when I write. It's mostly lo-fi, synthwave, and core. I was just about to sing a song from the 90s, a rap song. I forgot the lyrics, though, instantly. I love some, I write mellows. I work best by myself and on something I'm interested in working on. Same thing. All right, let's get into it. So, again, that is what subtext looks like. If you noticed, real quick, we started with just having it on the page. Okay, there was no conflict though. In 494 page, what is that? 400? What is it? No, 96 words. There was no conflict. There was no pushback. There was no hesitation. There was no experience and or choices from the characters. They were just doing stuff on the page. And on the rewrite, our job to create strong subtext is also to think about adding experience and choices to lines. There's more value and movement, emotional movement, when you allow characters to make those choices and stuff. If his meds don't work, he'll be past the pa. He'll be past pa. He'll be past pa. Good food can heal almost anything. Ain't that the truth? Unless I'm working with an instructor. Listen, I hear you had a great instructor. Great instructor. Anyway, all right. Any questions? Any questions about this? If not, I'll just finish up the right mindset perspective. The right mindset perspective. All right. By the way, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. Also, if you have any questions in writing in general or your book, you could leave them in the comments below. I'm always happy to share, and you could always go to the right mindset. With that said, subtext is what's left unsaid. But if I may, if I may, if I may, but subtext is still heard off the page. It's a part of the narrative movement. It's a part of an emotional experience. It allows characters to be more than the words they chose. Subtext is important not because it feels more real, and that does help, but because you're letting the reader be part of the exploration of the emotional truth. See, empathy comes from feeling what others are feeling and not necessarily what they are telling you. And subtext is one of the many tools of writing that help readers connect with what's happening to the characters, how they are experiencing their emotional fallout or rise. Remember, happiness is important too. Without subtext, it can become a series of things unfolding on the page. Basically, something is happening, but nothing is really happening. Subtext is a nice touch to watch things happen. Okay? Because readers are in a position to feel characters through their emotional experiences and choices. All right, there you go. Boop that like button. I can see everyone hasn't. Those bastards. What more does he have to do? Do I gotta do one of these? Oh, my back, my shoulders. Yeah, if you didn't know, you could bloop that beard and bloop that like button. All right, we're gonna go into the poll. Obviously, if you have questions about subtext, I'm happy to go into it and explore it. But again, the poll is, and we have 16 votes. That's exciting. We have when you're slightly uncomfortable, boom, you write your best. When you're completely alone, boom, you write your best. And of course, when you're chasing a deadline and when you're in love with your idea. We're going to get into that in a second, but I do have to do my riddle rattle pseudo saddle. I blooped on the way in. That's because you're the best. Flowers. Good woman. Thank you, M. I appreciate it, ma'am, for being so kind and helping and encouraging people. If you didn't know, there is books available for purchase. You can get them right now. Oh, he's gone. MakeItRightLeftHere.com. I'm not going to go through the whole spiel, but I do have a book on narrative, understanding, and movement, and outlining. I have a book that you can enjoy on Substack and or Patreon. They are identical. The Scribe tier on Patreon, but you can read my epic fantasy. This book exists. Go to MakeItRightLeftHere.com. It's a book on how to be successful. It's companion book number 2. There are 5 books. Number 2. We're looking good. We're looking good for a July. Definitely a July, but maybe a June release. I'm currently finalizing a couple of things. I just got to do a little bit more work on the back. This is not the artwork, but remember, Alter Lies is also available on the Scribe tier on Patreon, and of course, just Substack. You can read the chapters, all first drafts, but 0 drafts. However, it's educational as well. If you didn't know, you got to bloop that beard and bloop that. Also, the How to Write a Narrative series, the course, is going. We're on, I think, 6th video this week, right? Or the 5th. We did video 5. Next week is video 6. Do you want to watch that video, the series, that course? The course is free up to video 3. 1, 2, 3. However, all the videos thereafter will be behind a paywall. You can have the YouTube membership, and that'll allow you to watch the series in total. You can go to Patreon, watch it over there, or you could join Substack and watch it over there behind the paywalls. The first 3 videos are free. However, it is a how to write a narrative course, and I'm going to go deep and dive into everything that has to do with writing a narrative. It is not an outlining series. It is a writing series. It does cover some writing, outlining aspects, just so you understand what narrative is and narrative movement. But I am slowly but surely, if not, well, This week will be zero draft, understanding how to use a zero draft. And then I'm going to be getting into prose and writing. And that's where the course is going to sit in for a little bit. We're going to sit in prose. We're going to sit in how to write, how to ask the right questions. We're going to be talking about editing. We're going to be talking about how to, line editing. We're going to be talking about how to develop your voice as an author. All those things are going to be coming up within the series. So if you're interested in that, if you're already a part of Patreon, you'll be able to watch every video. If you're part of Substack and you pay for the monthly or the annually, you'll be able to watch that. If you're a membership on the YouTube, you'll be able to watch that. All right, there we go. On your mystery novel, I assume it makes sense without having read any of your fantasy series. Correct. The Noir is a standalone. All the Noir books I'm going to write in that series are technically standalone books. Because they're going to take place in different times. Like I'm going to jump all over the place. But yes. 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 All right, let's get back to the poll. We have, let's just talk about it a little bit. When do you write best? I'll say this much. It's not on there, but if I get a paycheck, it's not that I write my best, but I'm going to write. Like if someone's paying me to write, I don't care. I have to write. But if it's my own stuff, that's what I'm going to answer this based on. When you're slightly uncomfortable, no, not for me. When you're completely alone, I am usually, if not always, completely alone when I write. That's a fact. But I can write in a room with people because I have been a part of like writing tables and, in a writing room for screenplays. And, when I had my theater or my production company full fledged, we had people, in the office or whatever. I can write in any environment. So that's not a big deal. When you're chasing a deadline, you know what? When you're in love with an idea, that is really where my strength goes. I can fly through a book. In fact, this book right here, I was just working on that sort of as like a side piece. I was like, you know what? I'll write this book, and when I finish it, I'll put it. I couldn't stop writing this book. I was so in love with the idea. I love talking about the craft of writing. I love talking about narrative. I love everything about this book. I just couldn't, and it was supposed to just be something I was working in the background, and then I was going to be like, I have a book. I fell in love, and I flew through that. Book. So when I love an idea, I'm just poof. Even the noir, I am really. I didn't think I would love the noir as much as I do. I knew I would like it because I like crime. I like, puzzles, and I like all that stuff. But it was going to be in first person, and it was slightly outside my. I don't normally write first person, so it was outside my forte. But as soon as I started writing, I was like, I like this character. I like this kind of understanding of this world. So I got deep into it pretty quick. I'm flying through that book compared to, say, the epic fantasy, where I'm actually taking my time with the epic fantasy, even though I'm also, I have 5 books mapped out. I'm writing book 2. But like, for example, if you don't know, this series has 5 books in it. They're all written. I wrote all 5 books in like 6 months because I love that kind of stuff. And I feel like that's when you're in love with an idea, for me, that pushes me. I fly and I just keep going because I just want to work. I just want to play with it. I just want to be in that world. So that's something that's interesting. That's me. Oh, when you love an idea, we pick the same thing. We're like twinsies. Alone for sure, but also when I'm in love with the idea, it makes it a lot easier and sometimes flows out smoother. Yeah, and also if you take these very specific pills, it's called Flomax, helps me every time. But I'm just saying, when you have to pee 6 times a night, I'm not happy with that. But I agree with you, my friend. That's how the Western was for me when I was working on the horror story back in the day. where it's like, boom, I'm in love with this, and then, oh wait, what's this? Oh, I kind of like this. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I have to lock myself in a dark room. I have the attention span of a gnat. M, if I may, you might be able to write better if the room wasn't dark, and if you had your eyes open and you were watching your fingers. I can't wait to read your book, my friend. I know I've already read some of your stuff, but I'm interested in reading your book. All right, let's end the poll. We have 16 votes. The number one answer was when you're completely alone. I absolutely understand that. No distractions. Actually, real quick, my father, who voted uncomfortable? Bunch of masochists. What's up, Laura? Thanks for sitting in. When what is it? When you're completely alone, deadly. My father used to always watch me like listening to music while I was like working on stuff, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I like to listen to music when I write." But like the music was like heavy metal, so it was like, it's like, and there's like crazy singing, and he's like, I hear it in the other room. I can't even think straight. I was like, yeah, but it helps me, Dad. And he's like, look, when I was in the army, they told you to just focus on what you're doing, cut out all the distractions, and you'll be 100 times better, and you'll get through it. And I was like, eh. And then I tried it, and now I can't listen to things while I'm writing, like if it's music, because the reason for me though is because I'm a musician. So I'm not just listening to music. My brain is taking apart the music, and I hear the bass, I hear the drums, I hear the guitars, I'm listening to any piano, and it's like I'm seeing the breakdown of the tracks on like my head screen, and my brain just goes into like following music because it's basically a second language to me now. And ultimately, it was the best move to do, is to get rid of music. So sometimes when we were working in the office, I'd have to be writing and somebody have music on. I was like, I can't focus with the music. And they'd be like, Jesus. The better Laura, how are you, my darling? How uncomfortable are we talking? I felt the same way when I started working on my own story. Centaurian. Still like the name. It's become an obsession in a good way. I love it, man. I love it. Hence the darkened room with the eyes. I don't want to see the distractions. Hello, I am good. All right, we're gonna pop the end of the poll. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. We had a good time. Is that everything? Do we gotta still do this? No, we're good. All right, Sean. I did this video for you, so I hope you learned something, and I hope it was worth it and it helped you. But more importantly, thank you so much, Sean, for suggesting a video. I'm very appreciative of people giving me their times, let alone guiding me with what they want to see. And I really enjoyed this video for sure. How uncomfortable do you want it? Kinky. All I'm saying is sometimes it's okay to work through the uncomfortable. Go on. All right, what we got here? Oh, we got a lot of stuff. Out of curiosity. Oh, yeah, by the way, Ro, you said you had a question for the end of the lesson. If you could remember your question, let me know. But I'll answer this question too. Out of curiosity, do you have any playlists that serve as a course curriculum of sorts? Or if you were to teach a class, what would you teach and in what order? Would it just be random? Oh, that's a good question. Well, believe it or not, the playlist, How to Write a Narrative, is that. My chair. I got to get a new chair. How to Write a Narrative is the course and the curriculum, but that is specifically for how to ultimately, I'm getting to how to write. That class is all dedicated to how to write. As far as another class, I've also taught classes on how to outline. And the book, the 27 Plot Point Outline book, that is the class that I would teach. I would start off and then I would teach as I did. But if I were to teach a class, what would you teach? I have taught in the past outlining, writing prose, screenwriting, understanding narrative movement, character development, so all of them. And whatever it is I'm going to teach, I have a very specific curriculum that does evolve. So even if you took, like, let's say you lived near me and you went to the library, or you went to a college, or you went to somebody where I taught something, at the end of the day, those classes change each year because I'm adding and adjusting as needed. I hope that answers your question. Listening to music always helps me. My late father, much love to that, had old records of Michael Jackson, Earth, Wind, and Fire, so I listened to that every day during high school. First off, you should be listening to Michael Jackson and Earth, Wind, and Fire. Let's just put that out there, okay? Billie Jean's not my lover. You better bound. And of course, so Earth, Wind, and Fire. My grandfather was a big jazz guy and R&B, and he played the Apollo Theater, and he was a big guy, a pretty big name in those old days. So I grew up on that stuff. Great music. Much love. You did? I'm glad you enjoyed it, sir. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That makes me feel better. It makes me feel like I used my time wisely. It was worth it. Did the example make sense? Did you see how I grew the example? That's the question. That's a good question, Ro. That was an excellent question. Subjects. Oh. Subtext. Isn't subtext when you write underwater? Obviously. Wait. What do we got here? Richard. Oh, Emma. Can I say I would prefer the train whistle sound? Exactly. I don't know, Laura, but that song should not be in your head, is all I'm saying, okay? I have to try to go to sleep and get it out of my head. Emma is also a teacher. Emma is an amazing teacher. Because it's a banger. It's a banger. Because it's amazing. What you trying to say, Emma? Can Jax reveal something Gail said off page as if it's obvious to both of them? Can Jax reveal something Gail said off page as if it's obvious to both of them? All right, I'll say this much. In narrative, the rule of execution is always context, conflict, resolution. Why? If the reader does not understand what is happening or can connect the revealed truth, it becomes confusing. With that said, can you do that? Yes. But you have to create the context for them to understand what it is that's being revealed. However, you don't want to fall into the pit of despair when it comes to information being exposed to move the plot forward without earning said information, meaning Deus Ex Machina. You don't want someone to be, I'm not saying this is what you're doing, but you never want information that was discussed off page to feel like The Boys, not this season, but last season, The Boys, the smartest character in the world, I forget what her character name is, but she comes in after being gone for an episode or two, and she goes, everything worked out exactly how I planned. And she's like, and I knew you would do that, and I knew you would do that, and everything worked out. And then she's like, ha ha, woo! And then she walks off, and there are no clues to her unfolding. And that would be a poor variation of just having somebody be like, blah, 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 blah. And the character's like, of course, right? Like, you don't want to do that. You just have to make sure the context makes sense, whether directly before, sometime before, or directly after. Emma Bennett, we're captivated by you. Emma Bennett, we're captivated by you. Anyway, what's the confusion, my dear? I went back to another book today. I sat down and wrote purely the dialogue with no description. Love it. Almost like a script. It helped to advance quickly. Fantastic. I'm all for whatever works. And that is a good way to get dialogue out. Is sometimes you get rid of the distraction elements of description and you just get through the point. That's what a zero draft really is. A zero draft or a first draft, it's just about getting the needed information out. It is not about how do I make this sound good. I love that, Afghani. Perfect. Oh, boo yourself. Oh, because I booed you. I think I may have mentioned this before, but my memory is shocking. Shocking. Thank you, Tomas. I haven't had a chance to check out the narrative series yet. Behind on your videos for quite a while. Ro, you know I don't judge, and you know I appreciate it when you do. Check out the videos. Choo-choo! I've done that before, Afghani. I was fun. I mean, in screenwriting, that's ultimately what it is. It's just dialogue. The water in the U.S. is weird. In fact, where I live, they specifically say, do not drink the water. In fact, more so, they go, even when you're showering, do not let the water go in your mouth and then swallow it. Spit it out. Oh, I see what you're saying. Because well, this is flavored water. By the way, zero sugar. Zero sugar. Okay? Zero sugar. I thought it was a bottle of JD. I'm way behind on the comments here. Pity the boys is coming to an end. Yeah, I'm saying the boys are coming to an end too, but it's like, as big of a fan I am of both the comic book and also the show, I think it's time. However, they're going to do, if I read it correctly, they're doing a Soldier Boy series that takes place in the past, so that might be interesting. It's a snippet of conversation they've had, but I haven't actually written it. It's a snippet of a conversation they had, but I haven't actually written it. My gut, without seeing what's going on or experiencing it, is somewhere, somehow, in the past, in an earlier chapter, I believe you should at least have them start the conversation, and not you. Or they can talk about it, just don't make it plot relative. It could be character relative or world building relative. But if it's plot relative, it might mess up the context rule. If I may, sometimes you don't have to have direct conversations. But as an example, if a character goes, "Look, we need to talk about the Red Room," and the character goes, "Let me have it, give it to me," and then you cut it there, and then later on they're like on the same page, no pun intended, about the Red Room, you've earned it. Because you know that they had a conversation about the Red Room. Whatever it ended up being, there's enough context to know that they had a conversation about it. Sorry for the stutter. My fingers are spiders. It's okay. It's okay. You should go see a doctor about that, though. If they are definitely spiders, put that on camera. I'm going through those videos with the new outline, so we'll be doing it slowly. I hope you're enjoying those videos too. I'm enjoying teaching those videos. Do they say to drink Pepsi instead? Oh, Ohio? Yeah, absolutely. Is there some advice you have for determining when you should let the reader know something before the protagonist? Oh, you mean like dramatic irony? The real rule, the advice on that is what kind of narrative are you trying to tell? You know, the more the reader knows, the less. Well, I shouldn't say that. But if the readers know and they're ahead of the characters, that could create suspense, I should say. Suspense and tension. For example, the reader knows there's a bomb under the table and it has 5 minutes left before it explodes, but everyone else doesn't know about it. So it really comes down to what you're trying to do as the experience of the read. I think, was this the second or third class? When I was teaching the library class a couple weeks ago, I think it was the chapters. I was talking about chapters, and I go, every single thing you put in a chapter is going to directly influence the reading experience of your audience. The chapter titles, the lack of chapter titles, if it's just a number or a word, if you give dates, if you give a quote before a chapter, if you write part 1, part 2, part 3, if you allow the reader to know more than the protagonist, I would recommend you're most likely either writing somebody else's POV or an omniscient. All these elements, everything from subtext to more immersion to allowing the character to move through emotional experience and choices, all these things are going to affect the reading experience. So when it comes to your presentation, my advice is ultimately, what is the experience you're trying to give to the reader? Do you want them to know more? Do you want to create suspense, tension? Do you want them to be ahead of the protagonist? That's all up to you. There is no hard rule on anything in writing. It always comes down to what is it you want to do creatively and artistically. This is Pepsi Zero. It's Pepsi Zero-ish. Thank God. Always need more Soldier Boy. I ain't disagreeing. What do you think of onomatopoeias in subtext, like the clicking of a line throughout a conversation? If you're doing comic books, go all for it. I don't think there's anything wrong with onomatopoeias. If anyone doesn't know, onomatopoeias is like pow, bam, click, zang, tick, tick, tick. Again, I'm going to go back to my answer for when I answered Sean's question. Comes down to the experience of the reader. What are you trying to give them? That's through your presentation. Could an onomatopoeia take them out of the reading experience? It could. Anything could, right? How realistic is your writing? And are you playing strictly in a fantasy, a deep fantasy, or deep immersive? If you're playing in a deep immersive narrative, I would avoid onomatopoeias. But, you know, again, it's a creative form. It's something that you really have to make a choice on because it will indeed infect the way you're writing, you know. But I have a thing that I put in all my books. When my father used to watch TV, if somebody got killed, he'd go, dead. Dead. Right? He did it as a joke, though. You know, like somebody got, like if we're watching like Commando or something, he's like, dead. And if a whole bunch of people died, he'd be like, dead, dead, dead. Just this funny thing. So in the prologue of Death of a King, something happens, somebody dies, and I literally make a full passage just as dead, period. And I do that for many reasons, but again, it is a choice. It will affect the reading. So that's my answer. I hope that helped. Yeah, I like Soldier Boy in a perfectly heterosexual way because I think he'd kill me if he thought anything different. He probably would. Soldier Boy would secretly be into attention from anyone, I think. I agree with that too. I don't think he's looking for like Homelander is looking for somebody to be like, you are great. Whereas Soldier Boy, I don't think he needs it like Homelander needs it. I do think he needs the attention, but not in the same way. Oh, I'm glad that makes sense. Batman, bam, bow, zing. Do I have? Boom. Okay. I think the deep's more into that different strokes for different folks. Well, I mean, he slept with animals. Very agreed. If you don't want to pee, don't drink too much Pepsi. Hey, Ro, it's like you're a poet and you know it. Wise words, Ro. Wise words. So many horn dogs. Here on this channel? No. The boys went down after season 1. I would almost argue it went down in season. I don't know. I like the season where spoiler alert, Butcher gets like his like first taste of like superpowers. I really like that season. It has the what is it? The orgasmic thing, whatever. Um but yeah, there are some of the seasons are hit and miss. That Gen V show I couldn't even get into. It was terrible. Anyways, where are we? Oh, we did good today. It's already 3:45. I don't know the boys. I've only restarted Stranger Things. I will tell you this much, Flowers. If you can handle blood, guts, and unfiltered hoopla, it's probably a show for you. If you cannot, I would recommend skipping it. I think the subtext is you should lay off the Pepsi. You know, if I look, this is the way I look at it. If somebody wants me to stop doing something and I stop doing it, then I won't get their attention anymore. But if I keep doing it, they might be like, hey, you know, maybe it's all ploy. Maybe it's all ploy to get a little bit of attention. There is a lot of blood in that show. There's a lot of blood. Anyway. All right. What's going on? Anything going on? Let's see. Oh well, we got you know the right. We're gonna be writing tomorrow, and other liquids. There is a lot of stuff in the boys, like Homelander, and there are plenty of willies in that show. A few bottoms. In fact, there are a few bottoms and people who are bottoms in that show. There is definitely a giant gonad. Ed's to watch list. Fantastic. Oh yeah. Anyways, what's going on? Is there anything going on that I need to talk about? Does anyone care? Let's see. I think that's it. I think we're good. I think we did good today. We flew through. I feel like we flew through this lesson. I can't believe an hour passed. I gave a little bit of insight knowledge, and then I showed a real-time example. I guess the writing takes a little bit. But I'm just glad we had time. Hey, it's Alora. Every time I join, you're all talking about something weird. Well, that's part of the branding, okay? Watch any more? Not yet. Do not ruin it. I'm wait. I think it just ended, right? They finished all the episodes. I'm trying to wait until it's all done. I'm gonna do a binge on it. Don't blame Thomas Lenny. Eventually on channel 26 next week. This week, I've been distracted by land registry and contract signing. It's all getting real now. Well, know that we are 100% behind you, supporting you, and sending you love, my friend. Sending you love. You got this. You got this. And again, I really wish I was there so I could help, you know? He's the weirdo with the beardo. Yes, I am. Yes, season over. Oh, fantastic. I'm definitely going to check it out. All the episodes are out. Yeah. Oh, you've seen it, Emma? I didn't know. I feel like you only told me you watched one episode or two episodes. I thought you would tell me if it was good or not or something. It's all right. We barely talk anyway, so it's all right. Hey, Laura Buggy. I am Laura's rule. They're everywhere. There's Laura. In fact, there's a Laura in the story I'm writing on Sundays. Laura Olivia. No, you just don't ask. I have autism. Hoping I ask is like is like asking a cat or a dog to not clean themselves. It's just going to happen. I'm not going to ask. It doesn't mean I don't want to ask, and it doesn't mean I'm not interested. It's just my brain is not wired that way. But if you bring something up, I'm like interested. But if somebody is like, hey, you didn't ask me about the thing, and I'm like, my brain is overthinking everything, and there's not a moment in the day that I'm not thinking about how small of a speck I am in the grand universe, where I'm having one of those existential crises, right? The crises. And I'm just like, why do we pay taxes? And then I'm like, wow, I live on this small piece of Earth, and Earth is massive. And then I'm thinking of the stars, and then I'm like, I like disassociate from my body, and I start feeling like I'm in space, and I'm going to the moon, and then I'm like, I wonder what would happen. And now my brain is, look, you need to tell me stuff. If you tell me stuff, I will happily listen. I'm in good company. Yeah. It's the Lauras. So many Lauras. Ooh, it's the Lauras. Maul, what that be? Maul is a TV show based on Star Wars, Darth Maul. And it takes place after the fall of the where Vader is created. Listen, not ask, Plunker. Listen, not ask. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. What? I don't know. Though I may not have said. Though I may not have said. Look, if you say, I listen. If you're waiting me, look, there's a thing. Like if somebody tells me, hey, I'm going to do XYZ, my brain's like, oh, awesome. And then I wake up in the morning and my brain has reset, and now I'm back into existential crisis mode. And but then if that person is like, hey, I did this thing today, I'm like, oh, awesome. How was that? Tell me all about it, right? But my brain is like, make sure you eat and don't die today. Now I think I am both a plunker and autistic. It might be true. I'm still trying to understand the comment you had about the writing example. Are you saying because you overwrite? Oh, I think you consider yourself an overwriter. Richard is in Maul. Nice. A Yoda. Darth Maul animated series. Darth Maul. Richard Ayoda. That sold it to me. Yeah, I am also sure he's not a plunker. He's not a plunker. He's not a plunker. What was I saying? Oh, that's it. That's all I got. That's all I got. Listen, I don't know if anyone knows this, but my goal... What is it? Oh, wait, I missed it. I'm only 3 episodes in. Kids and I have colds keeping us away from each other. Aw, man. Sorry to hear about the colds. Remember to drink your water and your vitamin C's. I learned about active listening, but I need to learn how to active remember. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I got to put it in my calendar if I need to, to remember it. Your 287 words, I'd probably try and do... Oh, I see. Well, if you could do it in 50 words, that's great. But again, if you're following the rule of writing, it's foundation, and motivation. Then it's immersion, right? And then it's logical narrative movement. So by the time you get to the polished draft, you're making sure that every sentence is leading into the other sentence. You're making sure we're getting immersion, which means experience and choices through the characters. But also it means that you're making sure that every sentence has one or more of these 3 elements: plot forward, character development, or world building. So even if you could do it in 50, by the time you get to your I need to get this polished phase, it should expand. That's just the natural evolution of writing. I can't seem to remember before the quotes. Can before or after the comma comes before the quotes. Commas are always before the quotes. How are we going to do this? He said. Boop. It's always before the end of the quote. Always, unless it's a question mark and there's no comma or exclamation point. It's the immersion. When I try it, I fail like I'm waffling. First of all, I would love to watch the waffling part. Second of all, you need immersion though, right? So I would say practice immersion before you write. Don't only practice when you write your books. Give yourself time to think about immersion and how it feels. Go outside, take note of how you're experiencing it, and then go back in and write out the ideas. I'm still in the bricklaying stage, making the foundation. Yeah, foundation and the foundation and motivation is important. We got to know what is literally what needs to happen, the conflict and resolving it. We need to know why characters are doing what they're doing. All that stuff is important. After that, once that is solidified and everything makes sense, and there's, now you could start going back and adding all the pretty stuff. But a lot of writers start with pretty stuff. And if you're not necessarily a seasoned writer or understand deep character motivation and all these other elements that come into it, it's better to start before the pretty stuff and make sure the foundation is strong and then move into the other stuff. I know it. I wrote it down, but when I'm writing, I can't seem to remember. It is definitely something to remember. I would, just walk around going comma before the quote. Maybe you can write a jingle. I just write comma before the quote, comma before the quote, comma before the quote, unless there's a question or exclamation point. By the way, since this is a live stream and on YouTube, don't falsify. Be honest and own it. Otherwise, you ruin not only your reputation, but maybe what? Being scammed. Since this is a live stream and on YouTube, don't falsify. Use AI to create stuff. I don't understand what you're saying. Are you asking if I use IA to write stuff? Or are you asking... But when I'm writing in real time, it's coming out of me. Oh, not you, Thomas. Not you, Thomas. All right. I do like the pretty stuff. The pretty stuff is... Look, I get it. I love the immersion. I love the pretty... But also, Emma, you're a seasoned writer. If you have 20 books under you, you're published, you have deals... keep doing what you're doing. Whenever I talk, I'm usually giving advice to writers trying to find their voice, writers trying to find their direction. But if you're a writer starting off and you're starting with all the pretty stuff, you're not starting with the important stuff. Writing is easy. Sarah met Chris, but being a writer is the hard part. It's asking the questions. It's trying to get into the nitty gritty. It's the whys. Because there's a difference between this immersive sentence sounds really nice and pretty because I use the best words in a thesaurus versus what is the character actually paying attention to and how is what they're paying attention to directly connected to their emotional experience and choices. And I think that's a different level of writing that newer writers don't necessarily connect to in the beginning. Are you laughing at my little ditty? I know you don't. All right. I think I gotta stop reading 6 books at once because that transfers to my writing in that I flip from one thing. Oh, I flip into the flop and flip and flip, flop. I mean, why don't you read 5 books and then write one? Gotta get messy to get clean. That is true. Accurate. No notes. I like the pretty stuff too, but my boys tell me I'm too old and I should. You look amazing in a dress, my friend. For me, at least, it helps to write, plop it on the page. I still struggle to not make it sound good. Look, it's just a habit you got to break. Don't get me wrong. Like I show people my zero draft. Even Emma was like, "There's no way this is your first." And I'm like, "It's a zero draft." And she's like, "There's no way this is a zero draft." If you have the experience, it's going to showcase on the page. All I'm saying is if you're learning how to write, start with the foundational elements so you can develop your author voice. And then the things you are choosing to write through the POV and the emotional experiences and choices of your character is going to have substance to it. It's going to have purpose. So then you can earn the was, you can earn the ly words, you can earn the passive sentences. You can, you know what I'm saying? Like you start earning all these things. People keep pretending their stuff is all theirs, and oh, there are people who write. I've been watching this guy on YouTube. His channel blew up, and his lessons are AI written, and they're writing lessons, but it's all AI. I just been I'm like, how is this channel blowing up? I'm looking at his thumbnails, because you got to study stuff to like, have calculated choices. But all the sentences are those if A, then it's not A, it's B. Like everything is like that. It's like writing isn't pretty words. It's about bang bang bang. And like that's AI, right? That's an AI function. And then a lot of the words he's using are AI terminology. He says, what is it? Something bearing, load bearing. Load bearing is if you use load bearing once in a while, that's one thing. But if load bearing is all throughout the piece, or that's an AI word. It's right. There's just a lot of, and I'm like, and he doesn't really say anything, which is fine, whatever, do what you got to do. But his channel just blew up. It exploded. And it makes me think, like, maybe people don't want in-depth writing advice. They just want, like, hey, subjects. It's the stuff they don't say. It's the behavior. Subtext. You got to learn how to write things that people, no one says, I hate you. They ignore you. And then, like, step 1, make it so you don't say they hate you. And they're, oh, this is great stuff. I got to save this video for later. I got an itch on my nose. I got dry nose. It's storming over here, and I have my heater. All right. Y'all zero drafts are bunkers. No. Thomas's descriptions. I think people just want to say they have written a book without doing the work of being a writer. Yeah. Again, if somebody uses AI to write a book, they aren't a writer because they're not making choices. They're not asking questions. They're not, because again, I will stand by this based on my upbringing in the creative world. It's anybody can write. It's whether it has purpose or not is another. Being a writer is a skill set that isn't founded in the words. It's actually founded in the stuff that leads to the words, right? So when in screenwriting, if I was at a table and we had our writers there, okay? There are people that are idea people, and then there are people who are writers, right? The idea people would be like, what would be cool if Jake found his mother doing cocaine, right? That on its level is not writing. That on its level is not being a writer. That is just writing. Jake walks in on mother doing coke. Then what would happen is the table would go around and we'd start being writers. Well, why is she doing coke? Why is he walking in on her at that moment? What is the repercussion of that? how would this affect Jake? And how does this affect Jake going to it and after it? What do you mean going to it? Well, who is Jake before he sees his mother doing cocaine? Right? And that is actually what the writing part is. There's nobody's actually clicking and clacking on a keyboard other than taking notes of what we're talking about, right? The person who goes, Jake walks in on his mother doing coke, is the idea. That is right. That's writing, but that's not the being a writer part. It's literally everybody, all 5 or 6 or sometimes 10 people at the table just going, why? That's it. Can I see you? Yeah, absolutely, SB. It'll work out for both of us. I will see you tomorrow on the Sunday. But my point is, when it comes to this, I think people just want to say that, yeah, in AI, it's just writing, but it's not being a writer because they're not doing the work that leads to something, you know? To me, you have to do something. Like for me, either write the music or write the lyrics. If you aren't doing either, then you aren't involved in the creation process. Being a lyricist and being a musician are two different things. Right now, Ro, I feel you are absolutely without a doubt a lyricist. But you don't play an instrument, or rather, you don't use instruments to create the music. So I wouldn't call you a musician per se. However, that doesn't mean you're not a composer. But more importantly, unless you are organizing the sheet music or moving the beat, like beats. Like I worked with a lot of rap artists and producers, even though I was a metalhead. And somebody would have a keyboard and they would have a and they'd record that, right? They'd do like they do 4 bars or 8 bars depending, right? And then because you got to rap over 4 bars, it's and then it would then they would go back with the keyboard and they go, so it'd be going and then they would add da dum down out ban out right? And then they'd come in and they'd right? I consider them composers because they are taking sounds and organizing a rhythm and a beat and a structure. But to be fair, the Beastie Boys were not musicians originally because they would just take Van Halen music or they would take other people's music and they would sample it. But then they started just playing their own instruments, jamming, and then cutting up their music and using that. I feel they were musicians. But in the industry, if you're not composing your music, you're just being like, I'm just going to use somebody else's. Like, it's a night, tonight. You're a sampler, All the love, SB. I'm here to help and here to work with you. You are correct. I am not a musician. I am a lyricist. Although I do a lot of arranging and editing in the process to clean it up the way I want it to sound. The arranging, yeah. I have a hard time with the music for AI because, I spent many hours working in studios and learning music and practicing. And now somebody could just go boop, and in like 12 seconds is a full song. And it is ultimately a new creative art form. But I would stick it in the same category as somebody was like, I have a book idea, and go boop, and in 12 seconds a book is written. I don't have judgment for that kind of behavior, though. I don't, you got to do what you got to do. Have fun. You only live for so long. And if you're not having fun in life, as long as you're not purposefully hurting others or purposefully going after others or purposefully trying to mess with other people, do whatever you want. Have fun. Just because you only get so many summers. It's 2 hours. All right, everybody. I'm going to go. I had a lot of fun today. Thank you very much again, Sean, for this idea Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be doing Write a Book with Me. We are continuing the Laura Olivia sci-fi novel. You get to see me in real time writing books. Woo! It's a lot of fun. You could also ask a lot of questions, so feel free to jump in and jump out. Other than that, much love always to everybody. I'm Thomas J. Bellezza. As always, keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next time. Bye.